Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are we doing today? Mark from the States, of course. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. I've got this big fake couch, and I'm inviting all of you to come watch with me, learn something, maybe see something again for the 100th time. I don't know. I would just love for you to hang out with me because then you can help me learn things. It's that simple. Most of you who've been with us, been with our channel, and I mean our channel, yours and mine, for a while, know the drill. But occasionally we're getting some new people to come along, and that's wonderful. Our doors are always open for new channel family members to come in and hang out with us. And if you are new, we watch stuff. Some people may call it a reaction channel. That's the term, I guess. I don't see it that way. We're learning. I'm seeing stuff that I've never seen most of the time, and I get a lot of information after the video from a lot of you who help me expand on that, who give me context, who add things to something that I've already seen in the video. Like I say, I do most of my learning after the video, in the comments and in emails, and that's in the description if you care to send me one. Today we're back. This is like a monthly series that we've been been watching and learning from. It's top 10 prettiest towns in said county. Today we're in Hampshire. This is the channel is Alex in Britain. Alex, of course, has given his permission, and I'm truly blessed. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much. And this is like our 7th one. He's going to do all the counties. And I'm going to jump out here. And as you can see, there's a lot of counties. And I don't know if he's doing all of the UK, because if he is, he's going to be visiting a lot of places. Because, yeah, he goes there. He films there. He goes to all these towns he talks about. But it's always interesting doing these videos because a lot of you live in these places. And it's nice getting insight when your town, your hometown, pops up. So this is Hampshire. And I can't say I know where that is based just by looking at this map. I know basically I can pinpoint London, and that's about it. I think that's it down here. But I'm sure once I hit play, he will let us know. Before we start, there are going to be 2 links below me. This is the disclaimer. I say it at the beginning of every video. There's 2 videos below, or 2 links below, excuse me. One that takes you to Alex's channel. I encourage you to get over there and support him. If you have 1 like and 1 subscription to give today, give it to Alex in Britain and on his channel or his sister channel that he has that he'll talk about at the end. And the other link will take you to this video in particular, so you can actually watch it before we do. That way you can help him with the algorithm and the views and all that stuff, and then you can come back and help me by explaining things about stuff that I'm inevitably going to miss or not understand, or it's the usual lost kind of a look I'll have on my face of what did I just see? And since you've already seen the video, you can totally help me. A lot of you are going to probably know this place, I am sure. So that's what's great about this particular series of videos we've been doing from Alex. And I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy his channel. So I encourage you to come sit with me on this big fake couch. It can hold all of you, and I'm just truly blessed to have all of you hanging out with me. So let's get into this. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This is Prettiest Towns of Hampshire. Let's see how many towns that I recognize. Here we go.
On the south coast of England is Hampshire, a
Okay.
county of stark contrasts from busy cities and commuter towns to idyllic rural settlements on this gateway to the West Country. But what are its
That's a
prettiest
pretty
towns?
shot right
To
there.
establish this, I visited them all personally, and my conclusions are presented to you in this top 10 list. As per the rules of this series, cities are included for consideration, which in this case adds 3 contenders to the pool. However, villages are not, as there are just too many of them. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Number 10. We start with a town just up the road from Southampton in the picturesque Test Valley, Romsey. This is a place with
Romsey.
all the hallmarks of a well-kept historic market town. A chaotic street layout, a market square overlooked by a statue of local significance, in this case of Barney Gumbel's favourite British Prime Minister Lord Palmerston, and a parish church that was once part of an abbey dating back to the 10th century. And for a town of just under 15,000 residents, it even has the luxury of a railway station connected to 2 neighbouring cities. So if you're travelling between Southampton and Salisbury on a day single or day return, you can break your journey free of charge here, just for example. Why National Rail and the train operators don't shout this from the rooftops, I've no idea. Number 9. Next, we head to the coast, or an inlet of the English Channel at least, and the town of Emsworth.
Emsworth.
Considering the size of
Nope.
Hampshire's coastline, it's got a surprisingly small number of seaside towns, and smaller still since April 1974, when Bournemouth and Christchurch were transferred to Dorset for obscure bureaucratic reasons.
Transferred to Dorset. I'd obviously Bournemouth. I've heard of, but in Christchurch, was that the other one? Transferred. They just relined the county or something and moved them out into the other county. Interesting. So far, haven't heard of the 2 towns mentioned, but they're. This is our 7th one, I think, and yeah, a lot of similarities with a lot of the towns. They have that same kind of feel, but yet, as you know, different character. I say that all the time, but they're just, a lot of them look like time has kind of stand still for a while. They look very sleepy and quiet, which I guess is nice. I'm really digging this one here, right on the water.
Not to mention 1890, when the Isle of Wight became a county independent of Hampshire. Nevertheless, Emsworth showcases its quasi-seaside location with sprawling panoramic views of Chichester Harbour from this minimalistic causeway known as the Promenade. As for the town centre, it exudes a certain rustic appeal that you wouldn't find in the aforementioned Bournemouth, for instance, making up somewhat for a lack of a beach. Number 8. Straddled between the big towns of Basingstoke and Andover is a town bearing no resemblance at all to either. Whitchurch.
Whitchurch. I want to go back and look at that building there. I'm fascinated. A lot of you know that I'm fascinated with Tudor style and buildings that are crooked.
Bearing no resemblance at all to either. Whitchurch. The southern fringe of the North Wessex Downs provides the backdrop to this small historic town. It was here during the 19th and 20th centuries that the crystal clear River Test powered Whitchurch Silk Mill, Britain's oldest working silk mill no less. The town centre's unusual layout consists of a mini roundabout at its core, spawning off 5 side streets. A wander along said streets will
Ooh,
reveal a much
steep.
deeper history than 19th century silk, however, with a few genuine Tudor buildings with jettied upper floors giving testimony to
I love
Whitchurch's
that. Look
heritage.
at that.
Number 7.
So cool.
And now to the famed New Forest National Park, or its western fringe at least, and the town of Fordingbridge. The
Fordingbridge.
town's name is a
I haven't
reference
heard
to
of
the
this
crossing
either.
point of the River Avon just downstream from Salisbury, not to be confused with the River Avon in Bristol and Bath, or the other River Avon in Stratford-upon-Avon. Well, you get the idea. One of Fordingbridge's claims to fame comes from 1794, when notorious smuggler Captain Diamond made his way here from Guernsey en route to Salisbury.
That was his name, Captain Diamond. Wow, perfect. I'm loving this right here. So cool looking. Just like this store name here. Cool stuff. With the clock up here, digging it.
Having smuggled a hoard of tea, rum, and coffee across the English Channel. Whilst he was divvying out the smuggled tea to his accomplices in the town centre, customs soldiers arrived on the scene and a bloody battle ensued. Now, I don't condone violence, but I can certainly appreciate the guy's passion for a good cup of tea.
That's funny. So his name is Captain Diamond, but he was smuggling tea, which probably has had some serious value back in the day, I imagine. But yeah, he missed a really good opportunity there. Um, but yeah, smuggling tea. That's awesome.
Number 6. Now to a town roughly equidistant between all 3 cities of Hampshire, and yet one of the county's most isolated towns at the same time, Bishop's Waltham. The town's prefix
Wow,
harks back to the 10th century when King
very
Edward the
cool.
Elder granted the land here to Denewulf, Bishop of Winchester. Subsequent bishops of Winchester would reside in Bishop's
Okay,
Waltham Palace from the 12th century and even beyond the Reformation up until its ultimate destruction at the hands of Oliver Cromwell in the 1640s. The town centre is almost as well presented as the palace would have been in its heyday, featuring an immaculate high street and an even more stunning approach to the parish church of St. Peter, even if the church itself is strangely well hidden behind some nearby trees. Number 5.
that's cool.
Returning to the Test Valley, featured in our number 10 entry, we now come to the smallest town in Hampshire, and in fact, one of the smallest towns in Britain, Stockbridge.
I've actually heard of Stockbridge. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that name sounds familiar, and it's one of the smallest. Interesting. Maybe did we do a video on the smallest towns? I think we did one on the oldest. Maybe this was one of the oldest.
With a parish population of just under 600, it'll be of little surprise that the town centre of Stockbridge comprises almost entirely of one street. But for travellers between London and the West Country in the Georgian era, this wide high street welcomed many stagecoaches, likely more so than the namesake stagecoach buses of today, with a paltry 3 daily buses to and from Winchester, excluding Sundays. But it's the River Test, along with its numerous smaller river channels, providing one of the town's main attractions, namely as one of the country's leading destinations for fly fishing, which reels in the angling tourists, so to speak, during the peak of the season. Number 4.
So far, have not recognize any name. Stockbridge, maybe. Not entirely sure, but I mean, a lot of these places, of course, I'll never get to see in person, but it's always interesting, these videos, just to see the different architecture of the places, whereas a lot of them do look similar to me because, I mean, I'm a newbie. I don't see it every day to really pick out the nuances and the different stuff, but they do all have their own individual charm, I'm sure. And like I said before, character. It's fascinating. Just, people are living and going about their daily lives. And, you know, it's just, these towns look so different than what I'm used to, you know. So that's why this series has really captured my fascination, I guess you can say. It's interesting.
Next up is a town in the very heart of the South Downs National Park, Petersfield. The town
Petersfield.
centre radiates
No,
around a market square
this is
overlooked by
cool.
a rare statue of King William III in ancient Roman garb, as was the style of statues from the 18th century for some reason. And just off to its side is the 12th century church dedicated to, appropriately enough, St. Peter. A cluster of 15th and 16th century cottages feature on Sheep Street, a street whose name alludes to the town's medieval wool trade when it was a producer of a light cloth known as Hampshire kersey.
That's awesome.
And then there's Petersfield Heath, where a walk along the pond is bound to clear your mind of any lingering fog. Perhaps the biggest surprise of Petersfield, though, is that it's served by a railway station, which gets you to London Waterloo in just over an hour, thus flying
Huh.
in the face of the theory posited by the beaching apologists out there that a train station alone is supposedly enough to turn any idyllic town into drab urban sprawl.
The Red Lion, Weatherspoon. Okay, the Red Lion we see a lot. It's a common name. Weatherspoon, that is the beer maker, right? They have a bunch of pubs, I believe, is what I've been told. So I'm seeing it, and I'm hopefully saying it right. Weatherspoon. All these towns, of course, are going to have the pub. Golden Scissors. I just love the names of the shops. Whenever we do the walkthroughs, where you just are going along a walk. And I just love reading all the shop names. They're just awesome. Just interesting. Dang it, interesting. I've never heard of any of these places, but man, just step back in time. It's crazy.
Number 3. Our first podium spot goes to the town considered to be the capital of watercress, New Alresford.
New
Now, don't be
Alresford.
fooled by the name. There's hardly anything new
New.
about New Alresford, which in the context of
Look at that
aesthetics
roof.
is very much a compliment. But it was a brand new
Wow.
settlement way back in the 12th century when Godfrey de Lucy, Bishop of Winchester, oversaw its construction just south of the village of Old Alresford. The
So
street layouts,
I was wondering if there was going to be an old Alresford. Oh man, it was new way back when though. This is cool. Coffee number one.
with its inverted T shape, is a prime example of a medieval burgage plot, although, with the exception of the 14th
Cool.
century tower of the Church of St. John the Baptist, the extant architecture is about as Georgian as it comes. The reason for this is simple enough. A great fire broke out here in 1689, leading to a subsequent building spree that transformed it into a town that even Daniel Defoe would feel right at home in to this day.
I hate to keep interrupting, but when you look at like this shot here. Could you tell where this was? I mean, if you're from the area, yeah, probably. But I mean, just being a citizen of what the heck is that noise? It's my phone. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I hope that wasn't playing during the whole video. If you can just look, I mean, this to me could be anywhere, right? They're just, yeah, the towns are pretty though. They have that, I don't know, pretty would be the word I would use, but I would say they're very charming and they're very, very peaceful, and all words that I've used before many times watching this video. It's, you know, I can't help it but say, wow, awesome, cool. I'm trying not to. Hope you understand. But yeah, it's to me, this could be anywhere. And I'm not saying it's a negative as a negative. It's definitely not a negative. I just love it. It looks like it takes you back in time. And I keep saying that over and over. Yeah. But why the fascination? I don't know.
Although, how he'd feel about Broad Street being used as a car park is anybody's guess. Number 2. For our runner-up spot, we head back to the fringes of the New Forest, this time to its southern end, and the port town of Lymington. Here's another
Wow.
example of Hampshire's unconventional coastline, what with most of it comprising of the Solent Strait, which separates the mainland from the Isle of Wight. In Lymington's case, its geographic location at the mouth of the unoriginally named River Lymington, where it meets the Solent, allows it to serve as the ferry port to the charming town of Yarmouth on the island's western corner, a town sure to feature on the Isle of Wight episode of this series, incidentally. In addition to a picture-perfect quayside lined with numerous yachts and rowboats, Lymington also boasts one of Hampshire's liveliest markets against the backdrop of its Georgian High Street. In short, a southeastern town with a certain southwestern feel to it. Number 1.
Before we get into number 1, can you guess this place? I'm sure a lot of you just looking at this building will know exactly where this is. I am wondering if I will have heard of this town. So far, I haven't heard of any of them, and I don't think we've gone through a video where I have not heard of one of the towns. But this last one is probably my favorite so far. That looked cool. It looked like a real fun day. It's a gorgeous building, though. My goodness.
So for me, the top spot has to go to Hampshire's county town, the original capital of England, Winchester.
Okay.
Covering
I've heard of Winchester. Of course. Of course. I didn't know that was the county town. I didn't know Winchester was in the county of Hampshire. I did not know that. I really do need to just study a map.
its history would take far too long here, but in short, this was the city that didn't appear as an entry in the Doomsday Book of 1086 because it was the Doomsday Book of 1086, aka the Book of Winchester. In other words, the
Oh.
erstwhile biggest city in England, and indeed its predecessor Wessex, even though the population today is a modest 48,000 or so. That being the case, property here isn't
Wow.
cheap, certainly compared to neighbouring Basingstoke, despite the latter being closer to London. But whereas London has dubious looking
Ah.
skyscrapers, Winchester has medieval city gates, the 13th century Great Hall featuring King Arthur's Round Table, and of course, Winchester Cathedral, one of the finest cathedrals in the country. Some would say the finest, even despite its lack of a spire, a subject for much debate in itself right there. But
That's
one thing's for
so
sure,
cool.
Winchester is a city that's never forgotten its roots, from when the Saxons discovered the Roman fort of Venta and Alfred the Great fortified it from the Viking threat in the 9th century, and who still watches over it to this very day with sword aloft, albeit in bronze. May we all be blessed with so much as an ounce of his courage, leadership, and parenthood. Thus concludes this list of my picks for top 10 prettiest towns and cities in Hampshire. Do you agree or disagree? By all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to catch up with other counties covered in the series so far, check out the link on the screen now. Thanks for watching and
Have a great day. Thank you, Alex. This was a good one. I enjoyed this. I really did. Let me hop out. But this cathedral right here, pretty awesome. Winchester, of course, is my favorite. The last two were really good. Um, I mean, they're all good. I mean, I don't want to say none of them are good. They're all good. They all have their own thing about them that, I mean, obviously, I would love to visit. They just look real peaceful. I mean, to live there would be wild. My city, 1700s. When did my city? I'm going to look it up right now. Bear with me here, please. Hold on. Ventura. The full name is San Buenaventura. Founded date. Officially named San Buenaventura, was founded in 1782. So, yeah, that's old. I mean, it's not compared to what we see here on a regular basis. No, that's not that old, but it's certainly old for my country. So there's some history, but the thing is everything gets torn down and rebuilt, torn down and rebuilt. Here I love, and I guess that's it. In your towns, they just respect what was before it, and they keep it, or at least try. That's the impression I get. Things aren't just, it's 30 years old, we're going to tear it down and build something on top, in its place, like they do here. I mean, I'm trying to think what could be left over. Of course, the mission. We have a mission here that part of the mission system in California. It's Father Junipero Serra, who has been canceled, by the way, because he wasn't the perfect human back in whenever it was. So we have a mission here. That's the oldest, as far as I know, that they've kept around. City Hall is pretty old, but it's not 1782 old. I'm just curious what from 1782. Says here the city was incorporated, my city, in 1866. That's when it incorporated as a city. Founded in 1782 by Father Junipero Serra. But I guess I'm almost fearful. Like there's so many counties that we're gonna be looking at, and so many towns that they're all gonna start, if they haven't already, start blending together. For me, when I'm looking at them now, of course, Winchester sticks out big time. Pretty cool. Love this series. I really do. I just love it. I hope you're having a great day. I hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. Let me know if you live in, near, around this area. I was pretty amazed the first 9 of the 10 I'd never heard of. Towns that I'd never heard of. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, I've heard of Hampshire for sure, but maybe it's only because I have a New Hampshire here in the States. Maybe that's why I hear of Hampshire, thinking I've heard of it, you know? And is the New Hampshire in the United States based on this Hampshire, as it's the new one? You'll have to let me know there as well. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark. And he's